and welcome back to the Skin Diaries, an unfortunately recurring series on this channel where Marissa tries to figure out what the frick is wrong with her skin and fix it so that I can feel healthy and happy and physically comfortable in my life. I'm about to start a low histamine diet and lifestyle in an attempt to see if that will fix my skin, and I promised you guys I would take you on this journey with me. So today we are diving in with preparing for and starting low histamine. For those of you who are new around here, or those of you who might just need a little refresher, I have been dealing with ongoing skin issues for most of my life. This is not the video to recap my entire life of skin journey, but for now, super quick summary. I had eczema-like symptoms growing up, I think because of undiagnosed celiac disease, got diagnosed with celiac disease, went gluten-free. I ended up having skin issues again in high school, got put on topical steroids. No one told me not to use those for more than like 2 weeks at a time, so I used them for like 6 to 8 years straight. Ended up going through topical steroid withdrawal in 2019. That was like the worst year of my life. I have a whole video on topical steroid withdrawal. I'll leave a link to that down in the description box below if you are curious about that process. I ended up, I think, fully healing from topical steroid withdrawal in 2020. My skin was beautiful, flawless, lovely, soft, you know, all the things that skin should be. And then approximately 6 months later, my skin started having small little symptoms again. Some dryness, some itching, some flakiness, some redness, you know, the fun stuff. And for years in my head, I was like, it's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna get through this little flare and then it's gonna be healed again. And recently, in the last, I don't know, a year or so ago, I realized that that wasn't happening. It was not healing, and something else was likely going on. Likely, it's whatever was wrong before I started using the topical steroids to suppress those symptoms. Like, that's just, I'm back to where I started before I started using topical steroids. So in this last year or so, I have tried a few things. I've worked with a few practitioners. I've done some testing, and nothing has seemed to make a huge difference. So we're just on to the next. A question that I've been getting a lot recently since I've been talking about my skin more is, do you think that you're still going through topical steroid withdrawal, or do you think this is something else? And I don't know, honestly. Like, I don't know if there's a way to know. If I had to guess, I would say that by now, I think I am done with topical steroid withdrawal, and this is whatever was underlying like 10 years ago. I don't have an official diagnosis. If I were to throw a name on it at this point, it would probably be atopic dermatitis, eczema, something in that camp. So here are some images of what my skin has been looking like in the last week or so. It is by far not the worst that it's ever been, but it is the worst that it's been in a while, particularly since, in theory, healing from topical steroid withdrawal. I got a pretty bad flare about a month ago, and at its worst, I was not fully functional as a human. Like, my skin was so dry and uncomfortable and painful that, you know, if you're in like a chronic pain, it saps your energy, it saps your focus. And so I was kind of just like doing everything I could to just like get by in life. And that's a feeling that I would really like to never experience again. And even if it felt 100% perfectly fine for me and weren't interfering with my daily life, it is still a sign that something is wrong in my body. Like, it's not just a skin issue. Your skin is just an outward representation of your internal health. So to me, it's a sign that there is some deeper issue. Like, my body, there's something going on in my body, and my body is like, hey, hi, we need to fix this. So that's honestly one of my absolute biggest motivations, is just to like be healthy. And so that brings us to where we are now, which is kicking off this low histamine diet and lifestyle. If you asked me my like confidence level that this was going to work and like heal me, I'd give it like 50-50, not gonna lie. But one of the big things that pointed me towards this is that I've noticed that when I have had flares in the last year or so, I experimented with using an antihistamine, and that seems to have a huge effect on how bad the flare gets and how fast it heals. And so if antihistamines are helping my symptoms, it makes sense that maybe a low histamine diet and lifestyle would also help my symptoms. And there does seem to be some sort of allergic component to my skin reactions. I've mentioned this before, but I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to something in like the air in Southern California, because every time I leave Southern California and then come back, my skin flares when I come back. And about half the time, it immediately starts getting better when I leave. Also, I eat a lot of high histamine foods. Like, looking at the list of high histamine foods, it is like the staples in my diet. Kombucha, chocolate, avocado, like that's my whole diet right there. Also, atopic dermatitis is a symptom of histamine intolerance. What makes me think that it might not be histamine intolerance though is that I basically have no other symptoms. From everything that I've seen online, people with histamine intolerance have a lot of like random weird symptoms. As far as I can tell, the only thing that I have is my skin. So keep your fingers crossed for me. If you guys have any questions about low histamine diet, lifestyle, my skin journey, etc., leave them down in the comments below. I will be updating you guys on this process, and I would love to know what you would love to know. Fingers crossed. Let's do this. Today begins my official prep for the low histamine diet. I can start it in about 5 days, and so this is officially going to be my last coffee, or at least my last full cap coffee, before I have to give up coffee and chocolate for low histamine. So over the next 5 days, I'm gonna slowly taper down my caffeine intake. I've mostly just been doing half cap anyway, so like that shouldn't be too big of a deal. I say this is the start of my prep, but this is more the start of like the actual like physical preparation. I have been prepping for the last like 2 or 3 weeks just by doing hours and hours of research, binging podcast episodes, just like doing all the research that I can to get as much information as I can so that I know what to do and can kind of hit the ground running. I just personally don't want to go into a new protocol kind of blind and be figuring it out as I go, because I feel like that's just going to be less effective, right? Like if I don't know everything from the get-go, I might not do it 100% correctly, and then I'm just kind of wasting time like trying to follow protocol but not like doing it correctly. And I also just personally, if I'm following any sort of like restrictive protocol, I just like to have as much knowledge about it as possible, because that really helps with the mindset piece for me, so that I don't like feel as restricted, or at least I know the reasoning behind why I'm restricting, which for me is like super helpful to not just feel like I'm just putting foods off limits like willy-nilly. If I'm gonna restrict, I need to know why I'm doing it, and I need to have some belief that it's actually going to be effective. But now I'm at the point where I think I have gathered all of the information that I possibly can. I have eaten pretty much all of the high histamine foods that are in my pantry and my fridge. All that's left is to finish the other protocol that I'm on, which is testing out NAD supplementation, and then once I'm done with that, we're gonna cut out all the histamines. One of the first things that I foresee potentially being a problem, a difficulty, a challenge with this diet is the lack of kombucha and just general beverages that I can drink, because as you guys know, I tend to not drink plain water. I like to add a lot of things to my water to make me happy, but a lot of those things are risky for the histamine, so I've been in pursuit of other fun things to add to my water. One of the first things that I found in my research are a few teas that really support the body's like clearance and tolerance of histamine. First one is nettle tea, can help reduce how much histamine your body is producing. Next is hibiscus tea. It is mast cell stabilizing. So the mast cells are the cells that release histamine. So that should help with proper histamine production. And then it is also rich in quercetin, which is a natural antihistamine. Then both tulsi and ginger are naturally antihistamine, so I got some of that too. And lastly, peppermint, which thank God, I love peppermint, can also help reduce histamine reactions. And then amazingly, I told you guys, I think a couple videos ago, multiple times, that I have been actively trying to add more shilajit into my life lately, and I was just like doing a little Google to see if shilajit is low histamine or high histamine. Turns out shilajit really supports the body if you do have histamine issues. Studies have shown that shilajit has anti-allergic activity against histamine releasers and has been seen to induce degranulation of mast cells. So this is just like a little super resin with so many health benefits. Like I knew that shilajit had a ton of health benefits already. It is a multi-mineral. Shilajit has over 84 different minerals and compounds such as fulvic acid, humic acid, vitamins, enzymes, tocopherols, bioflavonoids, antioxidants, and metabolites that support just overall health and bodily function. It really supports brain health and cognitive function. It can support optimal testosterone production. It supports heart health and optimal bone density. Like, it's jam-packed with minerals, and your body needs minerals to thrive, so it helps with a lot of things basically. But I had no idea it would also help with histamine intolerance, so I will be actively adding this into my day as well. Regardless of whether you are histamine intolerant, think you have histamine issues, or not, I highly recommend checking out Shilajit. It really is like a powerhouse of a supplement, and it's one of the most natural supplements you can get. It's literally just a resin sourced from the rocks in the Himalayas. It's kind of like taking a multivitamin, but it is a multi-mineral. The one I use is from Symbiotica, and as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Symbiotica as a whole for their supplements, from how they source things to how they extract things, how they package their different vitamins, not literally like the packaging, but like their vitamin C, vitamin D are like liposomal delivery. So it's packaged in a liposome inside of the bottle that has other things in it. They optimize every single step of their supplement creation process to create the best quality, most bioavailable supplements that you're going to be able to find. So if you are interested in adding Shilajit to your supplement routine, highly recommend getting Symbiotica's Shilajit. And as always, if you go through my link, symbiotica.com/MissFitAndNerdy, you will get yourself 20% off. Check it out. I'll leave the link down in the description box below. I am now drinking my final kombucha. RIP, so sad. While most chicken should be okay, beef is usually aged, and the longer it's aged, the more histamine develops. So I have found a couple farms / meat distribution places that offer quick frozen unaged meat. And so I am going to stock up on that. I have these 3 different options. I'm just gonna look at essentially what is the best price. This one seems very promising because 80% or more of our customers are dealing with some sort of allergy, histamine intolerance, or autoimmune disease. We're acutely aware of the specific protocols and needs for our customers, blah, 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 blah. So that sounds very, very promising. Also, bonus, guarantee no glyphosate. That's cool. No chemical fertilizers, etc., etc. So all of this just, maybe I should have been getting my meat here in the first place. So I'm just gonna order like a week or 2 of meat, some chicken, some steak, etc. Something else I'm doing to prep for going low histamine is cleaning, like deep cleaning my entire room. Can't tell you the last time I scrubbed my door. It's not the cleanest, and I have done like full allergy panels before, and I'm not allergic to very much, but one of the things I'm allergic to is dust. So there is plenty of dust in this room, so I figure getting rid of as much of it as possible, you know, just lowering the histamine load that my body will be experiencing. So let me get back to scrubbing my door. A question you might be wondering is, Marissa, if antihistamines help your skin so much, why don't you just take antihistamines every day? Firstly, they have never fixed my skin completely. Like, they've seemed to help kind of calm the flares and help my skin heal faster, but I've never gotten back to fully healed even while taking an antihistamine. But I think even more importantly is that in the long term, they again don't solve the underlying problem, and they can end up causing more issues for the body, because like with a lot of things, if you take it consistently, your body adapts to it. Histamine itself is not bad. The body naturally produces it and needs it for a lot of different things. And so if you are constantly taking an antihistamine and suppressing your body's histamine levels, your body will start to make more histamine because you don't have enough histamine to do what your body needs to do with like a normal amount of histamine. And then on top of that, because you don't have a lot of histamine in your system, your body's also going to decrease its production of DAO, which is the enzyme that clears histamine from the body. So if you don't have a lot of histamine, your body doesn't need as much DAO, it's gonna stop producing as much. So now you have your body making less DAO over time, starting to think it needs to make more histamine over time. So if you ever need to stop taking the antihistamine for whatever reason, you're kind of screwed. So this low histamine trial is not just going to be diet, it is also lifestyle and all other inputs into my body. So as such, I have pared way back on my skincare. Just wanted to cut out as many ingredients as possible so that I kind of just have like a baseline. So I have two different things that are essentially like moisturizing and moisture locking. First is I am just like pretty much every day going to be custom mixing my own little concoction made from aloe gel, jojoba oil, and this little bit of really good quality extra virgin olive oil that my mom gave me. So just 3 super simple ingredients, mixing it together in here every morning and every evening, and that's gonna be like the basis of my skincare. I've experimented with it. My skin does seem to like it so far, so I think that's gonna be my go-to. And then I got so many of you guys telling me like, oh my god, put tallow on your skin, get tallow, it's the best thing for skin. So I did end up getting this whipped tallow balm with honey, tallow, jojoba oil, beeswax, water, honey, vitamin E. So again, super simple, but I will say that I got this like a few weeks ago just to like test it on my skin. And for those of you that think this is moisturizing and lovely on your skin, y'all don't know how terrible and dry my skin has been. This did not help. Now that my skin has actually calmed down a bit compared to where it was like a month ago, it does feel good. Like it's good for like maintenance, but it was nowhere near hydrating enough to really help my skin when my skin was hanging on for dear life, literally, because it was just like flaking off. But as long as my skin doesn't get worse compared to where it is now, this will be in my arsenal of skincare. And then the last thing that I'm experimenting with is not related to low histamine. It's more related to healing from the outside as I am healing from the inside, because in all of the podcasts and things that I binged, that was kind of a consistent sentiment that I heard from a lot of practitioners is you kind of have to be treating both at the same time, or else it's going to be really hard to make progress. And so something that I saw is that very consistently for people with atopic dermatitis or eczema, there is an overgrowth of staph on the skin. Now, I don't have any signs of like staph infection, but you know, your skin itself has a microbiome. You have a very specific balance of bacteria on your skin. And if that bacteria balance gets thrown off, it can affect the health of your skin barrier. And I very clearly have issues with my skin barrier. And so I figured wouldn't hurt to treat it as though that is a possibility, that I have an overgrowth of staph on my skin, as fun as that is. And so I got some hypochlorous acid spray. Ingredients are literally just water, sodium, and hypochlorous acid. And this essentially should kill any staph that may or may not be on my skin. I have a dermatologist friend. I asked her about this. She was like, oh my god, yeah, give it a try. It's great. We recommend that to patients. Also bleach baths. Not sure if I'm gonna do a bleach bath, but if this is the next best option, then I'm going to be spraying this on myself every day, 3 times a day. So if this can kill any bad bacteria that's on the outside exacerbating my skin issues, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, low histamine will help me heal my body internally, then we got the magic. It's all gonna work, and I'm gonna be happy and healthy. And I think it's super worth noting here that none of this in this video is like a recommendation for treating your skin, because clearly I am just starting this. I don't even know if this is going to help me. It's possible that I have no histamine intolerance whatsoever. It's possible I have no staph overgrowth on my skin whatsoever. I just wanted to make this video right now so that we have a record of all of the things and you guys know what I'm doing, because I know I'm gonna get a million questions about it. So I wanted to be super transparent about like every little thing that I'm doing and trying in this month or so that we can see how things progress. I'm officially starting low histamine tomorrow. So I just went to the grocery store, got some stuff so that I can have stuff to eat that is low histamine. So I figured I would give you guys a quick little low histamine grocery haul. First and foremost, berries. Lots of berries. Mostly to mix into the chia seed pudding that I'll probably honestly be eating every single day for breakfast for the next month, because I can't think of another good low histamine breakfast option. But you know, keep your fingers crossed for me. We'll see. For veggies, to make some giant salad bowls, I have some carrots, cucumber, zucchini. Arugula is supposed to be particularly good for if you have histamine intolerance. I forget if it helps clear histamine or whatever, but it's one of those foods that's helpful. More salad stuff, actual romaine lettuce. Cabbage is also supposed to be particularly helpful, so I got a coleslaw mix to just throw in my salads. Red onion. So many apples, because they are high in quercetin, to throw in my salads, but also just to have as a little snack. Chia seeds for days. And then snack-wise, I am kind of limiting processed foods because I don't really know like to what extent processing of a food creates histamine, so it's a little bit of a gamble. But ingredients wise, these almond flour tortillas, on point. And then I also found these Nuffs crackers. The ingredients are literally just almond flour, tapioca starch, rice flour, cassava flour, everything bagel seasoning, olive oil, sea salt, salt, and rosemary extract. So all low histamine ingredients. So very excited to have like just something to like snack on if I need a little snack that I don't have to like prep. So at this point, I'm actually a few days into all of this being low histamine, and I gotta say, I put in so much time and energy and research into like making a list of foods to avoid and foods to include, and I'm Googling so frequently, is this food low histamine? Is this ingredient low histamine? Like, just because there's no rhyme or reason to it. And there's also so much conflicting information on the internet, and this is probably the biggest takeaway about food as a whole for me and like how I'm approaching the diet is there are so many people who like have histamine tolerance and can't tolerate certain foods, but a lot of people who can, like eggs, for example. For a while it was thought that eggs are high histamine, but now it looks like that fully cooked eggs are not high histamine at all, but there are still a lot of people who have histamine intolerance that can't tolerate eggs. And one of the things that I do when I'm like prepping for a diet or protocol or something is join all of the Facebook forums and just like dive in there and read so many posts, so many comments, etc., just to get like real people's experience too, not just like reading scientific studies, because it's important to have both of those things. And there's just so many people in those forums that are like, oh, I can't tolerate this food, or can't tolerate this ingredient, or can't do XYZ. And it's like, that's not on the list of things that are considered high histamine. If any of you have tried a low histamine diet, you probably know what I'm talking about. If any of you are thinking about trying a low histamine diet, maybe that's why you're watching this video, just like be prepared, because apparently there's no clear-cut answers about this. So I figured I would run you guys through the list of foods that like I concluded I am going to avoid and or limit on this diet, and maybe I'll put the full list like in the description because I don't want to just like sit here reading a whole list of foods, but there's just a few things that like I wanted to call attention to. First and foremost is dairy. Now, not all dairy is high histamine. There are some soft cheeses that are considered safe or lower histamine, but any aged cheeses, any fermented dairy products, so like yogurt, kefir, etc., cow's milk, all of those are gonna be high histamine. So I'm completely cutting out the high histamine dairy, and I think I'm going to severely limit and or just not consume any dairy, because this does seem to be a very gray area for people with histamine intolerance. And the low histamine dairy, like the soft cheeses, are not cheeses that I really want to consume anyway. Like, not the biggest cream cheese fan, especially when I can't put it on a bagel, you know? What else am I gonna do with it? So for foods like that where it's kind of questionable, I'm gonna keep it relatively limited, because the other thing about a low histamine diet is that no food is like zero histamine. Like, you cannot have a zero histamine diet, and so the goal is just to lower the histamine load as much as possible. So basically, for questionable foods, I might sneak a little bit in here and there, but I'm not going to be like eating a ton of goat cheese because it might be safe to replace all the other cheese that I would be eating otherwise, because I eat a lot of cheese. I like cheese. Cheese is good. Anyway, moving on from dairy, we come to meat. Now, any fermented or aged meats, high histamine, off the table. Skipping those. Any processed meats, fish and seafood, and pork, all gone. Also, any leftover meats. All meat has to be freshly cooked. The longer you leave it left over, the more histamine develops. This is going to be the hardest part of the diet for me, just because this means that I can't prep food ahead. You know, I can't cook like 3 or 4 servings of ground meat with pasta and have that over the course of 3 days. I have to cook everything fresh every single day. That's just time consuming. When it comes to beverages, coffee's out. Pretty much all non-herbal teas are out. Alcohol's out, which is fine. I hardly drink anyway. And then fermented beverages like kombucha, that's out. So we're gonna be drinking a lot of water. And as far as fruit goes, this list, honestly, very helpfully, pretty cut and dry. Avocado, out. Also sad about that. Tomatoes, which are in so many things. Like, I've been trying to look at menus at restaurants, and just the sheer number of things that either have like tomato or avocado or banana or like one of these foods, like everything on a menu has a histamine food in it. It's kind of crazy. Dried fruits, some forms of coconut, citrus fruits, so lemon, lime, out, also sad. papaya, pineapple, strawberries. Random, but sure, I can deal with that. Vegetables that are out are spinach, eggplant, mushrooms. Don't really care for any of those anyway, so that's fine. And then anything fermented or pickled, so like kimchi, sauerkraut, etc. I eat a lot of sauerkraut too, so that's out. Another gray area is like lentils, chickpeas, legumes. There's a lot of conflicting information about that, so I'm going to limit those, / anytime I might want to eat one of them specifically, like black beans or chickpeas, I'm gonna Google specifically if that one is low histamine. There's a lot of information where people are like, cut out all legumes, but it's not actually all legumes. It's just like the majority of legumes, but some of them are fine. So there will be some more Googling on my part for that. A good amount of nuts are high histamine, so goodbye to cashews, peanuts, sunflower seeds, walnuts. And then here's the big one, chocolate. Cacao, a staple in my life. I don't go a day without having some form of chocolate. It is my one true love, and now it is gone. If you love it, you must set it free. I'll survive, but I am sad about it. Random extra stuff includes vinegars, which are in like most dressings and sauces and things like that, so that's just annoying. Bone broth, ketchup, any yeast products, additives and preservatives in general, probably staying away from all those. Licorice, some spices. So it doesn't actually cut out too much. It just cuts out a lot of my staple go-to foods. Oh, eggs. To circle back to eggs, I am going to limit eggs because so many people with histamine intolerance can't tolerate eggs, but at the same time, they're technically not high histamine. So I don't want to be having like 4 eggs for breakfast every single day, because that's what I would do if I can't have my chocolate frosty smoothie bowl. Like I'm either like smoothies or eggs kind of thing to get in enough protein. But I don't want to risk having like 4 eggs every single day if I react to eggs. So I'm gonna limit myself to like an average of like an egg a week. I don't even know what I would do with a single egg. Maybe like try to make myself some low histamine baked goods or something with no chocolate in it. What fun is that? I don't know. Maybe I'll put an egg in something, but I will be limiting those as well. So what I did for like a few days leading, not like all day, but like for a few days leading up to actually starting the diet, I sat down with this list and I kind of came up with some meal ideas for myself so that I wouldn't be just like lost and confused in the kitchen, because all my go-to things are out the window. And so far that's been incredibly helpful. I also found a restaurant that I can like Postmates from if I am in a pinch. It's fine. I'll survive. I can do this for 30 days. Hopefully I don't have to do it for the rest of ever. That would suck. I have a very exciting little update. I got myself an air doctor. The air doctor is a trusty air filter because I figured if I am potentially allergic to an allergen in Southern California, then I should at the very least filter the air in my bedroom that I spend at least a third of my life in. And the air doctor is, in theory, one of the best air filters on the market. Not Spawn. I wish Spawn, but not Spawn. So I just got this bad boy all set up and he's ready to start filtering my air. I am out for a walk and this brings me to exercise. I am going to be avoiding any intense exercise while doing this because exercise can also trigger the release of histamine. Isn't that nifty? And thankfully the workouts that I've been doing anyway have not been like super intense workouts, so I think I can kind of just keep doing what I'm doing. But I will also certainly be listening to my body in this regard, and if I notice that when I push myself with my workouts that I notice issues with my skin flare up a little bit, then I'm going to just continue to scale back. So as of now, I'm officially doing the low histamine diet. We're doing the dang thing. Hasn't been too bad. I am optimistic. I will keep you guys updated. I'll definitely check in after 30 days, let you guys know how it's going, if my skin has improved at all. Keep your fingers crossed for me. If any of you have done this before and you have tips, tricks, meal ideas, especially tricks for like eating out at restaurants, because I feel like that's not gonna happen. But if I could occasionally, that'd be great. Any thoughts whatsoever, let me know in the comments. And do make sure you check out Symbiotica's She-Legit and get yourself 20% off through my link down in the description box below. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. It makes my little heart very, very happy. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon.